So now we're learning the speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave in 1992 regarding this week's Torah portion about Abraham and how God told Abraham to leave his country, his place of birth, his family, his home, his security, and to go to the land where I will show you, which is the land of Israel. And the Rebbe asked the question, why do we learn this now? What is the point of learning it now? It doesn't have any laws in it. The whole Torah is there to tell us what to do, laws. So why are we learning this now? It hasn't got any laws in it. And not only that, it says, well, it's a preparation for receiving the Torah. It tells us the attitude. The attitude. When a person learns the Torah, so he's always supposed to be this, they say, uncomfortable. The Torah is supposed to make you uncomfortable. Because as much as you learn and understand, which that makes you happy, but afterwards you realize there's so much I don't know, so much I should know, so much I have to know. And even those things I do know, I got a lot of questions. And you look in books, you see that, well, other great rabbis also had the same questions. They got answers to some of my questions, but that even makes me more questions. So the Torah is a thing you have to continue learning, adding on in whether in quantity or in quality. So that teaches us a little bit about Abraham. It says that Abraham was the preparation, that at his birth, it was the preparation for the Torah. It says that began the 2,000 years of Torah, because he prepared the Torah. Also, Abraham, it says he did all of the laws before they were given. So he already knew that there were exact laws that God wanted to give to the Jewish people. So that's the preparation for the Torah. It says, but there's another aspect over here. God promises Abraham the land of Israel. And Abraham even went into the land of Israel. I guess he was the first Jew that went into the land of Israel. He went there very briefly because there was a famine and he had to leave. But God promised him the land of Israel. So says the Rebbe, but what are we supposed to learn about that? I mean, as far as preparing us for the Torah, good. So we got the Torah, and this teaches us about how to learn the Torah that we have. We shouldn't be satisfied with the Torah. We should always be lech lecha, always moving. But the land of Israel, we didn't get yet. We didn't get the land of Israel. The land of Israel is only going to be when Moshiach comes. Moshiach is going to bring all the Jews. It's a good thing to live in Israel. Not that it's bad. Oh, the Hasidim lived in Israel. They went to Israel. The first Rebbe of Chabad very much wanted to come to the land of Israel. His good friends, Menachem Mendel of Vitebsk, Horodak, he's buried in Tveria. There's whole Hasidic communities that are buried in Tveria. There's also big Litvisher communities from the time of the Gaon of Vilna. Right? The Gaon of Vilna was the same time as the Alter Rebbe. It's a big mitzvah to come to live in the land of Israel. And it's not really a mitzvah as such. It's not one of the 613 mitzvahs, but it's a very important principle for Jews to come to the land of Israel. Right? It's very principle, but only Moshiach is going to bring them all to Israel. That's what Maimonides says. It's not going to happen. Why is he going to bring them all to Israel? How it's going to bring even more? I think the biggest miracle, if the Mashiach even succeeds to bring the Israelis back to Israel, right? Israel, who knows how many Israelis left Israel? 1 million, 2 million, I don't know. A tremendous number of Israelis are living outside of Israel. It's already second, third generation living outside of Israel. So it's like the opposite of Mashiach, right? The opposite of Mashiach is going to bring all the Jews to Israel, and the country of Israel just made the people of Israel leaving. However it is, only Mashiach is going to bring all the Jews to Israel. And the reason is because what's going to draw all the Jews to Israel? Because Israel is holy and the Jewish people are holy. And Mashiach is going to bring a holy temple that everyone's going to see what that means, holy, to do what God wants. Everyone will see. But the fact is that it hasn't happened yet. Arai, what's the proof? The Mashiach has not yet come. And if so, God promised Abraham much, much more than we have now. Much, much more. God promised Abraham, I don't know, 3 times as much, 4 times as much. You have to look at one of the maps. What we have now. God promised Abraham the lands which were inhabited by 10 nations, and we only got 7 of them. If so, alachat kama v'kama, when we're found now that A lot of Jews are stuck outside of Israel. There's a lot of Jews that haven't even begun to do what Abraham said, Lech Lecha. So if so, what is it relevant to us? How to use the land of Israel and the land of Israel that Abraham promised the land of Israel. We don't have the land of Israel. We don't have it. Right? That there is a government in Israel and that there's a in Israel. Let's forget about the fact that the government doesn't go according to the Torah or whatever. But the fact that there's Jews living in Israel, that's a wonderful thing, right? And God protects them, right? And Jews, it's a good thing for Jews to live in Israel. It's a wonderful thing. But the fact of the matter is, we're very far away from what God promised Abraham. And not only that, those, at least the government now in Israel, they don't use this promise of Abraham as a basis for their being here. So what is this Torah portion teaching us? Why is it teaching us all these details? Let it just say that God promised the land of Israel to Abraham. That's all. Why does it have to lech lecha? You have to go, you have to move, you have to this. What's all these details about Abraham and what he did and what he was in history? It's very interesting. Historically, the trials and tribulations of who knows this hero and this general and this president and this king and what he did and all Napoleon, where he went and what he did and his journeys and his this. That's interesting historically, but the Torah is not a history book alone. It is a history book, of course it is. It is a history book, but it's not. That's not its main point. It uses history as the facts of history to teach us about God and how to use the world. So, what is it teaching us? What Abraham did before he came to Israel and all the promises? If we haven't gotten to Israel yet, okay. The explanation is like this: Kasher Natan HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when God gave the land of Israel to Abraham. And he gave it to Abraham, but Brit Bein HaBetorim, and the covenant between the pieces, which we're going to get to that soon in our Torah portion. The covenant between the pieces, right? God told Abraham to take these different types of animals and to slaughter them, and then to cut them in half, put one half on one side, another half on the other side. And then Abraham went through, and it says that the Shekhinah, God's presence, went with Abraham. So there's a covenant between the pieces. Like God said, to your seed I gave this land. What does it mean? I already gave it. So actually he gave to Abraham the 10 lands, not just the 7 lands that were there we have now. That Joshua conquered. Elegam Shlosh Artzot, but also the other 3 lands, which are the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, which that refers to also what's called Moab and Edom and what is Ammon? Ammon. Anyway, we're supposed to get 3 more areas that God promised to Abraham, which makes Israel about 3 times bigger than it is now. All we have now, that from the time of Joshua, which Joshua was like 3,000 plus years ago, 3,200 whatever years ago, that Joshua conquered the land. We never had the full land that God promised Abraham. But actually, in fact, God did promise Abraham 10 lands, but God, in fact, we only received 7 of them. Vatidim Liodim is going to be Yerushalayim, and the other 3 lands are going to be in the future. In the days of the Moshiach. But God gave the whole thing at once. When it actually came down in action, as Yeshnam Shlavim, there's different stages. Like it was when Joshua conquered the 7 lands. It wasn't immediately, or even in the time of Abraham. It was after a while. Says that when Joshua took the land of Israel over, he went in. So 7 years it took them to conquer, to defeat the different kings. And there were 7 more years that each and every tribe should go and settle his individual portion to actually delineate the portions, and so it happened little by little. Even if you want to say regarding the three additional lands that we haven't conquered yet, maybe you want to say it was just a promise, and it actually lo natan lehem, that's the way God wanted. He only gave them 7 lands. Atidim liyot Yerusha atid, and the other 3 lands, that's a promise that's going to be in the future. But nevertheless, it's understood Yerusha Gimel Artzot, that this in conquering the 3 additional lands, Migat the Shlemos, this will bring about the completion of the land of Israel. In other words, that which God gave Abraham was not the whole story. Even if you want to say that that's God's intention, all he wanted that they should have is 7 until Moshiach comes, okay, good. But the fact of the matter is he promised them 10. As to Tosef Shlemos, then when we get the other 3 lands, there's going to be an addition to the 7, Ruba, the Minkar, Mitocha Eser, especially because the 3 additional lands, that's bigger than the other 10. So if from this we can understand, Shehiyot B'zman has said that because now, Afilu B'zman Yeshua, even at the time of Joshua, and in the time of the first temple, and in the time of Ezra, that he was there for the second temple, Echziku, all the Jewish people ever possessed of the land of Israel was only the 7 lands. And we have not yet received the whole picture that Abraham was promised. The Kini and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni. Like it's relevant to law, Bedin Ari Miklat. It's relevant to the laws of the cities of refuge, like the Rambam writes. Sheshesh Arim Ayu, that there are only 6 cities of refuge, and I'll explain what this is in a second. 3 Moses made on the other side of the Jordan River, on the east of the Jordan River. 3 Joshua made as soon as he came into the land of Canaan. And then the days of the Moshiach, there'll be 3 more on these 6. Where will these 3 be added on to? Where? In the Kini and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni. In these 3 lands that God promised Abraham, but we have not yet received. And so until we receive these other 3 lands, so there's lacking Shechasar Shlemos of the Kinyan of Eretz Israel. We haven't really done the commandment of taking over the land of Israel. And also in the commandments of the Torah. There's a commandment in the Torah that we have to make 9 cities of refuge, and all we ever made was 6. Now there's no cities of refuge. It was only at a time when there was the death penalty. But now, Al Derech Kafi, like it is relevant to the land of Israel itself. Al Derech Zeh, similarly it is regarding to the Jewish people that live in the land of Israel. Even after the land was conquered. There was not very much time that the Jewish people in the history of Judaism that all of the Jews lived in Israel. Only when there was the first temple. Got it. Only the first temple. There was not a time when all of the Jews were living in the land of Israel. Because that's only when the Jubilee year is only done. The 50th year, it's a special year when all the slaves go back, etc. Special law. That was only done when all of the Jews are living in the land of Israel. In the second temple, it wasn't. In the first temple, it was, but only a portion of it. And because the came, whatever it is, Shalmans or whatever it is, and he took away the 10 tribes into exile. 10 tribes were taken into exile. That was like about 150 years before the temple was destroyed. So all the Jews were living in Israel, let's say maximum 250 years. Is that right? 1 minute. No, there was also, yeah, that's right. 250 years, maybe a little bit more. Joshua, let me just have a minute. Let me have a minute. I'm making a mistake over there. I'm making a mistake. That's not true. What I said is not true. in the time before the first temple was built, there was 440 years when there was the tabernacle moved into different places. In Shiloh, it was like 369 years. So what? So all the Jews were in the land of Israel about 700 years, something like that. There was the 440 years that they, from the time of Joshua entered until the first temple was built. And then let's say the first 250 years of the temple. So that's about 700 years. Good. Okay. So about 700 years from the whole 3,300-year history of the Jewish people since they left Egypt, 700 of them only were on, all the Jews were in Israel, But then on the other hand, they weren't on all of Israel. They were only in the 7 nations that they were conquered. 3 of them are waiting for Moshiach. Yeterim is even more. Even if all of the Jewish people are on it, there's also different levels, different stages. So it's understood that Afalpi, even though that according to the laws of the Jubilee, for instance, when all the Jewish people are on it, means that all of the Jewish people in that generation, like they were in the time of Joshua, and the majority of the time of the first temple, right? Like I just said. But in the future, Kasher, when there will be all of the Jewish people will return to the land of Israel with Mashiach. Then, in addition to the fact, also all the 10 tribes that were exiled, like I said, in the last 150 years of the temple, there were 10 tribes that weren't there. They were taken into exile. So all these 10 tribes, they're all going to come back. And that they were put into exile on the other side of the river of Sambatyon. That's what it says in the Talmud. So all of the Jewish people from all of the generations, and also the completion of the elevation, there'll be the raising of the dead, and we'll have all of the 10 lands. And then, only then will be the ultimate completion of all of the Jewish people living in the land of Israel. Really, in other words, there'll even be the raising of the dead. All of the Jewish people that ever existed will all be living in the land of Israel, and Israel will be bigger. Alpis, according to this, that it says only then. I saw it says that only then will be fulfilled the promise that God made to Abraham that your children will be like the stars of the heaven. You know how many stars there are in the heavens? I mean, a lot. There's all these nebulae and all these whatever is galaxies and whatever is. Each one of them has like galaxies of galaxies that have infinite numbers of millions and billions of stars and solar systems, whatever they got. And so it's really a lot. There's a lot of. So it says that's how many Jews there's going to be. Only when the Jews, when the raising of the dead. According to this movement, it's understood, Kate said, how it can be that in our Torah portion of Lech Lecha, from your land to the land that I will show you, this is the land of, this is the idea of possessing the whole land of Israel by means of going, what God told to Abraham that he should go, La'arka L'Rachma, that Abraham should go into the land of Israel, and that he should walk into the length and the width. If so, this is relevant to us now. We're not just reading a story of history. We're reading that Abraham took possession of all of the 10 lands that God promised that we haven't gotten yet. Because as long as we have not received the 3 lands of the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, together with this, the ultimate completion of all of the Jewish people living on the land of Israel. So when will we have all of the Jews on all of the land of Israel? This is only going to be by means of Mashiach, and the true redemption. But all the time that has not been achieved, we're still depending on the fact that Abraham took possession of the land. We're still in the process of just settling the land that Abraham claimed. Abraham staked his claim on the land of Israel. He walked to the length and to the width of the land of Israel. All of the 10, the area of the 10 kings that God promised him. From that time until right this very moment, we have still not taken possession of all of the land, the claim that Abraham made. Adayin Nidrash, so therefore, we still have to do Lech Lecha. we still have to do what God told Abraham, go from your land, that the Jewish people, wherever they are, they have to, even if they have to come from outside of Israel to the land that I will show you. And they will take possession of the land of Israel in its completion, all of the 10 lands. So we have to do it. How are we going to do it? That's what Moshiach is going to do. So don't say, well, that's not going to happen. I mean, it's funny. Well, the writings of the Rebbe are the writings of the Moshiach. Moshiach is going to be a tremendous educator. That's what we have now. This is educating us to connect God and the Jews and the Torah to the land of Israel, but meanwhile, to do it in every moment of our life. Every moment of our life. It's not just going to be in the land of Israel. God is everywhere. The Jewish people, wherever they are, right? We have this promise waiting for us. We just have to come and claim it. And because we're waiting, the Rambam says, we should be waiting every moment that he will come. And Maimonides says, interestingly, that a Jew that does not believe in Mashiach and does not wait for him to come is not awaiting his arrival. Right? Desperately, the world is in terrible shape. And Mashiach is going to fix it up. Right? Where the Jews are now, who knows? Right? I don't even think about it. How scattered they are in physical and the spiritual. In terrible shape. Mashiach has to come. He's got to fix every. So you have to wait. Maimonides says that anyone who does not believe in Mashiach and await his coming is denying the whole entire Torah. Denying the whole entire Torah. So a person can say, okay, so I deny the whole Torah. So what's so bad about that? So what's so bad about that is, it's just like if let's say you're in New York City and you want to get to a certain place and you're given a map. Say, I don't want a map. I'm not interested in maps. But the map is just showing you, I'm not doing what anybody tells me, right? Just get that through your mind. I'm not going according to maps. I'm not going to go according to some book. I am a human being and I'm doing what I want. So, okay, but you're going to be verblundet. You won't know where you're going. That's my problem. It's not your problem. You don't tell me what to do. Don't stick your nose in my business. But it's just showing you the facts. The Torah is just showing everybody the facts. It's just showing us the map of what reality is. You cannot believe in it if you not want to, but you're going to be all confused, running around and it's on self-destruct all the time. And therefore it says I have to wait for Mashiach desperately that he should come. Therefore, the Jewish people, they yearned and they longed, and all the generations, that there should be this lech lecha me'artzecha, that they should leave wherever they are and come to the promised land. And not just the promised land as it is, but the kinyanan shel eser eretzos, the land of Israel, as God promised it to Abraham. Well, the Hosif, and now we can also add on that this is also relevant even more in our generation and our time. Like we said many, many times, said the Rebbe, that all of these calculations, when Mashiach is supposed to come, and great, tremendous, holy, genius, spiritual, inspired rabbis have said times when Mashiach is supposed to come, and it didn't come, didn't work, didn't happen. It says, all of the projected ends, times of Mashiach coming and improving the world, have not come. They have not come yet. So what does that mean? We should give up? No. It means that they have to come any second. Kabbalah Kedushas Morichami Nasi Dorenu, and the previous Rebbe, who was the leader of our generation, he let us know, he announced, Shekabar Asu Tshuva, that the Jewish people have already done repentance, right? The Holocaust, that's enough. We've suffered enough. We're ready for the parade of the Mashiach. All you have to do is shine up the buttons. And in fact, that's also been done. They've also shined up the buttons. Everything is ready. We're just ready for the conductor to raise up his baton, right? And say, ready to. All of a sudden, everybody, all the Jews in the whole world, boop, they come to the land of Israel. There's the Holy Temple. It's all built. Everybody's happy. Everybody's stepping on everybody's toes. Nobody minds it. They're all happy. They're wonderful. It's great. Thank you very much, God, that I'm created. I'm a Jew. Everybody's waiting for this moment. that the whole entire world knows that there's a God that loves them, that creates them, and that cares about them. The parade is ready, said the previous Rebbe. Well, if we call us simanim, and according to all of the signs, our generation is the last generation of exile, and automatically it is the first generation of the redemption. Al Pizeh, according to this, it's understood. This is a thing which is very important, timely and important topic. Litkonen, that we must prepare actually for Lech lecha me'artzecha ele eretz asher arecha. Prepare yourself to go to the land that I will show you. Take of him miyad mamash immediately. V'yiknu at Eretz Yisrael, and then we will possess the land of Israel in its completion. Call Eser Artzot, all of the 10 lands, that they are an eternal inheritance for all of the Jewish people. It is a Yerushalanu, it is an inheritance to us from our fathers, from the time of Abraham and the covenant between the pieces. Excuse me. Now, what's the novelty? What's the thing? If so, it was given from Abraham. This is an old story already. What's new now? Shiakablu et Gimel Artzot, that now we will receive the 3 additional lands, not by conquering, not by killing, not by war, but darki norm, but darki shalom. In a way of pleasantness and in a way of peace. Even since that in that time there won't be any wars, the worlds themselves, the nations themselves will give themselves to the Jewish people. I think we can have 2 really good examples of nowadays. Who's supposed to be like ruling the world, leading the world? Is supposed to be the United Nations. The United Nations is supposed to be, they all got together and they decided how they're going to make peace in the world. There's going to be benefit in the world. They're going to do this. Okay. So we see how tremendously incompetent and destructive these people are. How they are. Nowadays, they're going on this massacre of Christians in Nigeria. Massacre. In the last 10 years, they've killed 100,000 people. 100,000 people. So, what does the United Nations say? First of all, they're blacks. Who cares about the blacks? Even their leaders don't care about them. Even their leaders don't come to the United Nations and start screaming, "What are you doing to our people?" Who cares? Who cares? But that's insane. That's inhuman. These are human beings. These are human beings. And they're just as intelligent, just as talented, just as human, for sure. More so, more human than all these, what is this big rollers that are sitting in the United Nations. Those people are just purely evil. And they're stupid also. That anyone will believe, and they're all bribed and they're all this. Now that's supposed to be, they're the ones that are leading the world. They're leading the world into total destruction. Now also look what's going on in Gaza, right? So, okay, we moved out. Now Hamas can take over. So you figure they're taking over, that they'll start turn over a new leaf, and they'll start, no, what are you talking about? All of the money they use for digging tunnels, for killing people, they take people in the streets and they kill them. Nobody cares. No one cares. That's leadership. There's leaders in the world. And the countries in the world are being taken over by maniacs, murderous maniacs in the world. You want to call it extreme Islam. They're being taken over by murderers, and everybody knows it, and no one does anything. What is the point I'm trying to make? Not how bad the United Nations is. That's pretty obvious. How we need a leader, how there has to be a true leader in the world to bring everyone close to the creator of the universe. That there has to be at least an ideal of bringing peace. That's what it was supposed to be. That's what Moshiach will do. Moshiach will bring everyone to realize how precious every human being is. God is creating everybody. And when Moshiach comes, he'll wake up the Jews. The Jews will come to Israel. That'll be a sign that this physical world is a creation of God and God loves it. He cares about it. And therefore, all the nations in the world will join, say, Jewish people, you lead us. You be our leader, please. We realize we've chosen bad leaders, we've made bad mistakes. Okay, right? And the Jewish people say, okay, nothing wrong with making mistakes. I mean, if people make mistakes, it's because God created us that way. But that's the end. Moshiach will say, now you're going to be educated. That's the whole idea of Lech Lecha. Lech Lecha means go out of your mistaken paradigms and value systems and mistaken morals, mistaken this, and start to live in a really good, productive, godly world, which the Jewish people are supposed to be the examples of. That's what it means, Lech Lecha, go. That's what Abraham began. That's why we're reading this Torah portion. That's why Abraham began, Lech Lecha, go from where you are. That is the preparation and the beginning of the giving of the Torah. The liyot, because shashlemus, that the whole idea of the completion of the giving of the Torah will be the redemption, the total revelation of godliness and the gathering of the Jewish people, the waking up of the Jewish people, and part of it will be going to the land of Israel. Then the land of Israel will be whole, complete, all the 10 lands, like we said before, and then there will be the true godliness of the Torah that's so easy to forget. Torah chadasha mi'ite teitze. A new Torah will come from me. I think we said this a lot of times, but the whole entire Christian religion is just based on total misinterpretations of every word of the Torah. Total misinterpretation of every sentence, every law, every word, every letter. Everything is totally misinterpreted. The basis of that religion is hating the rabbis. That's the basis of that religion, hating the true interpretation of the Torah. But on the other hand, the Torah is a book, and it's a book in the library. It's a book like any other book, and it's like a history book. So you can pretty much do whatever you want to. I mean, you can take any book from the library and interpret it however you want to, right? You want to interpret, I don't know, Moby Dick, to say that Moby Dick is the answer to the world's problems. You can do it. You can do anything you want to. The same with the Torah, right? It says no. The Torah is going to be new. What does it mean it's going to be new? We'll see the godliness in every word of the Torah. It will be impossible to misinterpret the Torah. It will be impossible. Every human being in the world, especially every Jew, will see clearly that the interpretation, that the explanation that the rabbis gave is true. It's implanted in the hearts of every person. That's what it means. We won't need the Talmud anymore in order to come to the same conclusions that the Talmud comes to. It'll be a new Torah. We'll see that that's what God really meant when he said that Shabbat is only for the Jews, and that Shabbat, what it means that you're supposed to rest, it means that you're not supposed to light any fire, and you're not supposed to write any letters. And Hari, Lefi Erich Ashlemus, according to the completion of the idea of the giving of the Torah that's going to be in the future, then it says the Torah is going to be really godly. You'll feel every word of the Torah. That's what Moshiach is going to make. The Torah that we learn now is just like wind compared to the Torah that Moshiach is going to teach. We'll feel the godliness, the life in every single letter. Allah has kama v'kama. How much more so regarding the new Torah that's going to come from God, the godliness of the Torah. So therefore, we have not yet received this, but we are in a preparation for it. A preparation to Lech Lecha. Now, this is true. We did not receive, everyone was not privy to the true explanations of the Torah. That's why you have the Talmud. The Talmud was written, the ideas of the Talmud were stated by people who had the power to raise the dead. They're tremendously holy people that they received their ideas from God. And God wanted there to be these arguments, but he wanted it to be so that in order we should understand the true explanation of what God wants. But only these great people in the Talmud got it. And it's not easy to learn the Talmud. That's why there's a book called the Shulchan Aruch that he brought it up. And that's also not so easy. You have to open up the book and learn it. And there's different opinions. But in the future, it won't be that way. The Torah itself will scream out all of these explanations in a way that everyone can understand. The explanations that are given in the Talmud will be given in the hearts of every single Jew. But until that happens, we have to do Lech Lecha. because this idea of going out of yourself and going closer to the Creator, this is not only relevant to giving of the Torah, that we have to do the Torah every day brand new, like we said before, but also mainly it's relevant to receiving the new Torah that Moshiach is going to bring. The godliness in the Torah, shehu lo be'erich, which will be incomparable to the giving of the Torah like it was before. When the Jews got the Torah at Mount Sinai, it says that their souls jumped out of their bodies. It was so tremendously holy. It was so intense. They couldn't take it. Well, in the future, we will be able to take it. And then we'll feel the essence of the Torah as it is in the essence of the heart of every Jew, as it is in the essence of God. And that will cause the essence of the world to be revealed and bring the Jews to the holiest place in the world, the land of Israel, which will show that the whole world, in fact, is an amazing creation of God. But that's all begun by Abraham. When God told Abraham, go out from yourself, he began this whole process of revealing the truth, the true boundaries of Israel, the true essence of the Jewish people, the true essence of the Torah in the world, as we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow.